Curiosity. What are you so curious about? Everything, Mr. Curiosity.
Alrighty, folks, Joe Snedeker here, also known as Mr. Curiosity. Got the podcast rocking and rolling here. We got a special one today, baby, and I'm not fake excited. I am truly excited because I must admit, in past podcasts, sometimes a fake excitement, Brian. Are you okay with that? This is the real deal.
You can be fake, you can be real. I'm ready.
No, I'm just kidding. I pick the people that I'm truly interested in, and I may not be the best guy to interview you and your enterprise because I don't even like amusement parks. Whoa! I'm with Brian Knoebel from Knoebels Amusement Park, or as you call it now, Amusement Resort, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And that's not a fake last name. That's your real last name. Knoebel is in the name. This is your family. This is your gig, correct?
That is correct. Absolutely.
The only thing I know about your place so far is that I used to take my kids there all the time because my wife made me, and it was a great experience. And that I saw online that you started in 1926. That is literally all I know. So we have to explain this to the people together. And that must be your what? Great grandfather or something? How does it all begin?
That's exactly what it was. So hopefully by the end of the podcast, I can sell you on liking amusement parks. That's
Well, no, Brian, this is my problem. And I admit that, I'm just not a ride guy. Since I was a kid, there's this place where I live here called Sugarman's. I don't know if you ever heard of it. When in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was big. It was only 8 miles down the road from where I grew up. And my mother and grandmother would take me to Sugarman's when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old. It was like picture Walmart, only, 45 years ago. It was really primitive. They had everything. But I would get sick driving with my mother and grandmother to Walmart and sometimes vomit. I just get motion sickness very easily, and I have a short attention span. And when you combine short attention span and amusement park rides, you get a guy who doesn't care for any of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Now, you would think growing up in this business that I could ride anything, but then the older I get, those spinning rides, yeah.
You can't do it either, huh? That's funny.
I'll hold the backpacks. You can ride. So you can help me hold the backpacks, Joe.
All right, so I'm trying to picture the year 1926, and you and I look like we're from the same general time frame here. So we can't picture the world in 1926, right? It's pre World War II. Cars are just entering the scene. It's an agriculture economy. I mean, what's going on? How did this all start?
So here in Ellisburg, just on the outskirts, you have places like Shamokin and Mount Carmel, big into coal mining.
Okay.
Most people worked 5-6 days a week, had off on Sundays. So people that didn't have a car had, still had horse and buggy. What did they do? They came to my family's land, and right where our swimming pool is, there are 2 creeks that come together, Roaring Creek and Muggsers Run. And it created, for a million years or whatever it was, created a swimming hole. So and they called them tally hoes. So people would come on the weekend.
Tally ho!
Tally ho, that's it. They would swim. My ancestors would feed and stable your horses. Some of the stories are for a nickel. Some of the stories are for a quarter. While you had a picnic, you had family day swimming in the creek. That's what you did.
Get out of here. So if I could stop you right there. So this was just a small stream confluence, and it built it was a reservoir, not a man-made structure, just a reservoir that happened to be on your family's land.
Nope, God made it many years ago.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
But what was so special about it? I'm sure there were, there's reservoir and ponds and bodies of water all over the place.
I think it was just where the two places came together, and it just over time it just made it deep, and there was some. They didn't have tubes really back then, so they just played. So we see some old pictures, and we have some old artist renditions of kids frolicking in the stream while mom and dad hung out on the side, just talking, strengthening their marriage. So little by little.
This is your great grandfather or grandfather?
This would be my great grandfather.
So your great grandfather, but could you give me the history there? They come here and establish farming land from where? Were they your classic immigrant story from the late 1800s, early 1900s?
It is. And then my I guess it would be my great grandfather, the Reverend Knoebel. He bought all the land where I'm at today for $931. So Knoebels itself is 45 acres. We include the campground. That's about another 150. So we kind of advertise ourselves as, 200 acres of family fun.
Yeah, but you say, just tossing it out there casually, about $1,000 he paid for that. Now, today, of course, we say, oh, that's not much money. But back then that had to be 50, 60, 70,000 in today's dollars. Did he come as a man of status?
I still wonder, how did he afford to come over from Germany? And as a reverend, I mean, they didn't make any money.
Right.
Think back years ago, they didn't even buy food. It was the the parishioners that bought the food. The congregation bought the food they cooked meals they'd invite the pastor into the church, hoping to get in the good graces with God by feeding the preacher some chicken or something. Little by little, people started coming. He put a fence up to keep the cows out of the stream. People, maybe that was our first guest services call we ever had, here on the property. The cows making the water muddy. So the story goes. So just elevation wise, behind our Phoenix roller coaster, which is the coaster, behind me, the one that we moved from Texas. We can get to that later.
That's the classic wooden one, right?
That is. Yep. You got it. So was the farmhouse, and the original farmhouse. And he's banging, making some noise out in the barn. And would have been my great grandmother, Hattie. She said, Hen, what's all that noise out there? What's all that racket? He said, well, I'm building park benches and picnic tables for the tally hoes. And she said, if you do that, we'll never get out of here. I guess the rest is history.
What did she mean by that? Was she a restless wife?
I wasn't around. I didn't really, I couldn't act, but
did she want to move to the city or something? I mean,
maybe. Who doesn't like Illeysburg?
I know. Come on. What's
Metropolis?
So he started building small structures and keeping people around, but still that jump to now build something for amusement for other people. I mean, that's a slow transition. It's got to be, right? Or was it abrupt?
I guess I left out one little piece. So we were farmers, and we made Christmas trees. We would sell the Christmas trees in the city.
Okay.
We made charcoal up on our campground and sold that. So we were actually a lumber yard before we were an amusement park. So
really?
Yep. So as we are nearing here in 2026, the park will be 100 years old, but the lumber yard's even older than that. That's just, the thing just kind of grew. In 1926, he put in a steam-powered carousel, and
so that's really the first big jump towards amusement, correct?
And that was 26, right? Yep.
A steam-powered carousel. So you're talking about like a merry-go-round, a primitive merry-go-round type thing?
Yes, sir. You bet.
Do you know the state in the United States of like, I'm picturing an amusement park like everyone knows, like Coney Island. Was that in existence at this time? Yes, right?
It was, right.
So did he have, I wonder, a blueprint from somewhere else in his brain? He's thinking, I can do that here. They're doing that in Manhattan area, Long Island. They're, and was that his impetus, I wonder, or is this just boom? And how many existed? How many other ones were there?
Exactly. Okay, some people, if you were a superhero, so you want to fly, you want to be the world's strongest man, you want to turn invisible. Now I want to time travel. That's exactly, and I want to.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't.
I'm Junior Mr. Curiosity. So
I'm
someday
elder
when you retire, I'll drive up to WNEP and I'll take over the show.
Do you have a picture of this steam carousel or no?
We do, not here in my office. I do not.
But could you describe it? Just a real primitive, the steam is powering the pistons and that's turning a crank and a gear, and people what are they sitting on in this primitive carousel?
On horses, just like you would hand carved, wooden.
Get out.
So they also, so in the carnival industry, we're a hard park, but in the carnival industry, we were considered 40 milers. So my ancestors would pack up this carousel and the steam engine that powered it, and you would travel up to 40 hours, and you would do, the local carnivals, the fairs, the town parks. trying to make a couple of bucks, I guess, to come back and build more park benches and picnic tables.
Oh, so he was taking like this platform to other locations.
Correct.
Whoa. So people stop by with their horses. They're near the tally ho. They're getting some water. They're hanging out. It's a sunny day. And oh, just over there's a little ride I can take. I'll pay a few cents and go in circles. This is the beginning of it, correct?
It is. Right. You got it.
Whoa.
And a couple of games, couple of food stands. And then at that point, that's when we started building our 900,000 gallon swimming pool. So little by little.
This is in the late 20s, early 30s now?
Correct. Right. Late 20s.
This is unbelievable. So you're building a gigantic swimming pool. Adolf Hitler is ready to start World War II in Europe. This is all going on. Isn't this nuts?
Yes, absolutely.
How long did that take, and what did that look like?
The pool, the pictures that I have seen, I started at the wrong time of year, and I don't know the story well enough to be able to tell it. Maybe there was too much mud. The walls were caving in. So I think they went down on the coldest day of the year and started digging, through the mud and the muck, because by this point now you're below the water table. So as you're digging, the creek's, filling in the mud. It was steam powered shovels that were like envisioned there on a strip mine. Same type of equipment that they're digging out for this. And nobody had filtration at the time. So there was a park called Edgewood Park. And we're kind of like Shamokin Area High School sits now. And that was much of the same. You filled it with the creek. Every maybe once a week, you would drain it and fill it back in again. And
so were they modifying the existing tally ho or building in addition to it, taking the water from that into another area?
So, the creek's always going to be there no matter what.
Right.
And they were simply, people at this point, I'm told, were starting to get a little bit like yourself, a little curious about filtration, swimming in filtered water, rather than farmers or old houses dumping their raw sewage right into a creek.
Unbelievable.
They wanted filtration, basically. So, we started building this, and I'm told that it's what put other swimming holes out of business, because my ancestors spent the money to put in filters, but it was still fed by the creek. My dad, and I don't know what year this is, my dad was born 39. So I'm going to guess around 1950, 1952, somewhere in there. His job was, we had a beach towel, and you had pipes that filled up the swimming pool. So as you would jump in and splash and the water would go outside the pool, as the water would evaporate throughout, his job was to walk upstream, pull the towel. That was the plug, almost like a big cork. He would pull the towel, fill the pool back up again, and then go back up, plug the. So, I mean, very basic, very.
So the dirty water is leaving, and you pull the plug, and the fresh water comes in.
At what, 55 degrees, whatever.
Oh man.
So little chilly, a little brisk.
So I didn't know this. So the main reason that Knoebel started was swimming, recreation, in this giant now pool, quote unquote, right?
Yep.
And the ride was just this little side entertainment thing. So there was no like, a merry-go-round carousel primitive, and then let's build another one. I mean, it wasn't that thinking at first.
No, at first, but then little by little, more rides came. We had an 8-car whip. We had, I'm trying to think of the right name right now.
Are we still in the 30s now?
Now we're in the 30s. Little by little, the park would grow. And I really don't think they added one ride per year. They couldn't afford that.
All right.
But every few years, they'd add something new. Penny arcade, skating, and dance hall, if you would, we'd call the Roaring Creek Saloon. So we became a destination. But then, like you brought up the war, we did not open during World War II. And then the next year we started and going full throttle ever since.
Oh, so it was only a brief interruption during the war period, correct?
One season.
Is that right? When was that? With the 40s or?
That would have been, I think, 41.
Whoa. Now, so this is a personal question, and whenever I ask these, I have the bell ready. You just say, "Shut up, Snedeker," and I'll
Okay,
hit the
all right.
bell. Are they becoming? Is this very lucrative? Are they of status in town? Is this making tons of money? And the Knoebels in the 1930s and 40s are now the local Rockefellers. Is it a big enterprise, or is it just, hey, you're getting by? You guys, your great grandfather had the nicest house in town. Is it all that, or describe that scene?
I think it was middle of the road. Maybe a little better than the average.
Okay.
But it still wasn't anything like the coal barons.
Okay. Yeah.
They all of my ancestors' houses could have fit in one of their homes. When you think some of the houses in yesteryear from Shamokin and Mount Carmel and Coltmont, some of the in our area, some Bloomsburg. You had Harry McGee and his team. So I don't think my ancestors were anything like the other people I mentioned.
You're right. I forgot. Thanks for that perspective, because through the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and into the 50s, coal was king. Everywhere from Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Carbondale, right through the Schuylkill County area, west towards your area. So that was where all the money was. I didn't even think about that.
There's your next podcast.
Yeah. Well, how do I find those old coal barons? They're coal barons. I mean, those guys are exploiting 9-year-old boys in the mines. I don't want to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The relatives of them are embarrassed of what their great grandparents did. I can leave them out of it.
Yeah. There's so many people that exist. One of our night watchmen was he was a breaker boy. I think he quit school at 9 years old to go work in the coal. He then, I think he was 12 or 15 maybe, driving a coal truck from Shamokin to Baltimore every day, 7 days a week. That's what this 15-year-old boy, and Route 81 and 83 didn't exist then. So this is what he did. And then the story, he went to the military. He was hired as a bookkeeper and payroll at a local area business. Now he's one of our night watchmen.
Is that so? So when you use the term night watchman, what are we talking about here?
So there's always somebody on the grounds, on the property of Knoebels.
All year round, January 13th, middle of winter.
Absolutely. When we have sometimes one of the Knoebels will make sure that night watchman gets Easter dinner delivered to them.
Get out of here.
Or Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, because they have to work. And come right into the house with us and sit down and join us for a little while. But they're always patrolling, and the cameras that are all over the park. So yeah, night watchman, it's one of the jobs we offer.
Oh man, that's something. So now we're getting into, I guess, the 40s and 50s. Is this when Knoebels becomes, I guess, what we modernly think of Knoebels? It's a enterprise of rides and entertainment and arcades. And when is that?
I believe so, because if people describe Knoebels, how they do it, they say it's almost like the carnival moved into town and never left. It's not a concrete jungle. It doesn't have these, bright, vibrant, elaborate rides, that twist you and turn you and make you sick like they would you, right? It's just that throwback. We're the traditional quintessential amusement park of yesteryear. That's what people like about us. That's okay. So you don't ride. You mentioned that. No big deal. We don't charge to park. There's no entrance fee. You can come down here. You can sit on a bench and people watch.
I've done that. You just watch the pretty girls go by, and that passes hours and hours and hours right there.
I mean, bring your family. We encourage, sit on that bench and just, sometimes it's better than TV, but it offers that opportunity where you see somebody you haven't seen in 10 or 15 years, and you just shoot the breeze. And our philosophy, it's grandma and grandpa get more satisfaction out of watching their grandchildren ride the rides than what they would themselves. Maybe they're going to ride the carousel. Maybe they're going to ride the Pioneer train that goes out in the woods, and then they're out $4, $5. But because grandma and grandpa are on a limit, fixed income, they don't have the spending. They have no cash flow. So that's what we create.
No, you're right, because and no offense to Hershey Park, Dorney Park, or even Disney World, Disneyland, but you get the feeling there. You're in this corporate entity. It's all glitz and impersonal. You almost feel like you're being a little exploited. You almost feel like a number at those places. And again, no offense, they're corporate entities, but you don't get that at your place. It's almost like this warm, cuddly embrace at your place.
We would like to think so.
Yeah. And it's got to be unique. Do you remember? Here's my history. When I was a kid, I was a church altar boy, Catholic boy, brought up Cub Scout. And we used to always go to, so was this known on your radar when you were a kid too? Your competition, Ghost Town in the Glen, here in the Music Scranton area.
Sure.
Is this one of your chief competitors at the time? If you go back to the 60s and 70s or even 50s, I'm not sure.
Right. I think probably our biggest was that park I mentioned, Edgewood. Of course, there was Angela Park. That was
I forgot about Angela Park. Yeah. Where is Edgewood? I don't know Edgewood.
Edgewood, right where if you ever get to a Shamokin High School baseball team, ball game, right there.
Oh, okay.
That's where the pool was. There's a little lamp that's still there with a little concrete marker.
And where are we now? 1950s though? 60s? When was that?
Yeah, I think 50s. Right.
So you weren't the only game in town.
No, just one of, think about if there are no parks. I mean, there's minor league baseball going on. There's so many different various things you could go do. This was just, once a year, people stop by to visit Knoebels.
You're right. Think of the entertainment then, the limited options in the 40s and 50s, right? And even into the 60s. There, we're just overwhelmed with opportunity now, from vacation resorts to malls to places and all types of entertainment venues. And back then it was simple, a few places. That's your whole weekend. That's your big trip for the year.
Yeah. So it was I think it was 1955. And up in our campground was a potato field. And it was my ancestors' best potato field. And they wrestled. They said, should I take out, I can make X on the potatoes, but I can maybe make Y if I put in a campground. And they really, I guess this was a huge decision at the time. So they said, all right, we're going to roll the dice and we're going to put in a campground. So they put in this campground. I think there were 9 sites. And here we are today. We have a campground of 600 sites that's attached to the park. We have another campground 3 miles away we call Lake Glory with a bus that runs continuously all day long to and from. Log cabins. We have, primitive tent platforms. What we call Eagles Roost. So
and how unique is that in terms of amusement parks and camping and log cabins? I mean, is that pretty unique, or are there other places in the country? That seems like a rarity.
This is pretty rare. So you brought up Disney. So you could stay on property.
Yeah, it doesn't count. I mean, that's talk about exploitation.
So you could at Disney, you could potentially, how do I want to word this? Your kids are enjoying the park. You hop on the monorail, you hop on their bus, and you go back to your hotel. You can make lunch. They can come and they can enjoy lunch back at your hotel if they want. Then they can go back to a different park that night.
Yeah.
Knoebels is very similar. So you don't want to ride. You can go up to the campsite, start a campfire. You can bring your grill and make lunch. We don't force you to buy our food like some of the other parks. It's more economical if you bring your own food. We would like to think that as far as park food goes, we are extremely economical, when you compare us to some other places. But sure, I mean, you could go to the grocery store, but that's your labor costs, that where you're making the food. You're on vacation. You don't want to cook on vacation, but it gives that option. Kids go up, mom and dad text them, hey, we're up the campsite, come up for lunch or come up for dinner. They go up, they eat as a family, back down into the park they go.
Oh, that's excellent. So that creates this unique experience where people get to spend a day. Everyone loves to camp. You're in your camper, you're in your tent, you're in your log cabin. And yeah, it creates that cuddly vibe that we're talking about here that you guys have that you don't get at the bigger resorts.
Right. And grandma and grandpa, maybe they're up at the campsite. So, wonderful family memories that you're making. It's one of the most special things is when families will come back a second time during the summer, or when they come back every year. And now it's so, young Joe Snedeker came to Knoebels every year. Then they started to camp. Then you start bringing your kids. By now, you're the grandparent, and you're the one hanging out by the campfire, and the grandkids are coming up to see, Pappy Joe. So
don't ever say that.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. So when you enter the scene here, it looks like you were born in the 60s, like me, correct?
Well, you would think
70s. I'm sorry. Well, listen,
right.
I can only see you from a distance. You're a little head. The older you get, like me, you think everybody's your same age. So no, you look great for your age. I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah. So
but let's say you're born in the 70s.
I was. And,
now, are you born into this Knoebels empire? And yes, Brian, you're going to take over. This is what you're going to do for a living. You're entrenched in it. How does all that work?
So my older brother, Rick, he tells me that our first job was separating the colors of the ride tickets. So, you bought maybe $20 in ride tickets, and the 20-cent tickets were red, and the 10-cent tickets were green, and the 5-centers were blue. I didn't know that green was green or red was red, but at the end of the night, when the ride operators would come in and dump their ticket can, it was our job as, grandchildren at that time to separate the colors, make it easier for the staff to count the tickets. So we knew how much money we made that day. We joke that we're still waiting for back pay on some of that, back to 76, but we really weren't that busy. It's different today.
Why though?
Let me go in chronological order real quick. So we used to, right in front of our park office, we used to play kickball right in the middle of the afternoon. Telephone booth, there was a tree stump that was home plate. The ticket booth was, the phone booth was first base. Second base was a park bench. Third base was a little crack in the concrete back to home plate, which was the tree stump.
Okay.
And in a 45-minute game of kickball in the middle of the park. So, think, Cinderella's castle in the middle of the park. And you only had to stop twice to let guests go by. And the ball into the ride area. That was a home run. So it was no different. People were like, what was it like being Brian Knoebel? Did people use you for free passes?
That's
simply what my parents did, or my, uncles and aunts, what they did for a living. They just went to work like anybody else. So 1976, we brought a steel roller coaster in called the Jetstar, and we got a little bit busier. But it wasn't until 1985 where we moved. So the coaster that's behind me was built in 1947 in San Antonio, Texas. They called it the Rocket. So, and then that park closed. Playland Park in San Antonio, Texas closed around 1980, something like that, 81. And we talked to the guests, and they wanted a wooden roller coaster. Well, my family couldn't afford a wooden roller coaster at the time. I think they were like $1.5 million for something. So my dad and a team of John Fetterman and John Moyer and there's so many people, Jim Martini, Dan Patterson, a whole team involved. They went to San Antonio, Texas. They started, looking at this thing and how to take it apart. So I think 47 truckloads later, they shipped it to Pennsylvania, where we put it right back together again.
And this is what year?
This is 84, 83, 84. We opened the coaster in 85. That's when I was 12. That's when I started noticing, like, boy, we're getting busy. Where are all these people coming from? Did a couple of cruise ships park? And everybody's moving to Ellisburg. What's going on here? So that's really what put us on the map. And then from there, that started our greatest growth here at the park, where we were all the way up to 63 rides, 38 food stands, over 24 games, these campgrounds, the pool's still open every day from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Now it's full throttle.
So that rolling coaster that you took apart from that previous location, whose was that and what happened to that place? Do you know?
I don't know the reason why it closed, but like many other parks that have closed through the years, it became an apartment complex. So there's still some signage around, and actually, so in our industry, kind of the Oscars of the amusement industry is called the Golden Ticket Awards, and every year the Golden Ticket Awards are held at a different park. So this coming September, the Golden Ticketers are going to be down in at San Antonio. So I'm anxious to get down there with my dad and have him. Remember, I talked about time travel. I'm anxious to get down there with my dad, and so he can recreate what he was looking at in the early '80s. I want to see it through his eyes and his vision. So that's my goal for September.
But the people who rebuilt this roller coaster, I don't see how you just do that. Like I picture me, my family, my friends. If someone says ship a rolling coaster, we're going to take it apart and rebuild it, like that's monumental. How do you just do stuff like that? You hire a team of engineers.
I have 3 words. I don't know. they're amazingly talented. Many of these people are still part of our team, and but
are these like family members or people you hired, or you know what I mean?
Both. Yep. So we were actually going to put the roller coaster kind of in the corner of our parking field until the last minute, where we changed and we're going to put it in its current location today. But it was perseverance, hard work. It was a lot of, so Joe, if you're a football fan, you think about that family tree that Bill Walsh, coach of the 49ers, and all of the people under him that became head coaches.
Okay.
Belichick, Nick Saban. There's actually one of these that exists for the Phoenix roller coaster, and everybody that cut their teeth on this Phoenix, this to be named coaster at the time, kind of branched off and started their own or worked out building roller coasters. I mean,
that's just so bizarre to me.
How many business cards do you see when someone hands you something and you look at their job title, coaster builder?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like a whole enterprise you don't know about. And coasters bringing up, remember I mentioned Ghost Town in the Glen here in the music area. I remember being 9, 10, 11. The scariest thing, it still infects my life right now, and that's how your Phoenix is. When you're going up there and you hear the creaky boards and you hear the wheels grinding on the track, and then you're slowly going up and there's a flag at the peak, at the apex, and it's flapping around, and you look down and people are fading. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is death. This is where I die. This is one of the reasons, I guess I'm not a ride guy. And I remember thinking, oh, and then my buddies would be like, let's go on again. And they would do it over and over again. I'm like, no, get me out of here. You know what I mean?
You lived to tell about it, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess. But geez, parks are just for some people and others not. But man, you guys do an awesome job.
Well, thank you.
And today, so you're celebrating how many years are we in now?
So this is our start of our 96th season.
What's coming up? What's coming up for 100? It's got to be huge, man. It's got to be huge.
Well, we have a team we are assembling to talk about, and everybody has some ideas, and of course, we as a family joke that you have no problem spending our money. Everybody this only costs $10 million, and that only costs $10 million. So we don't even know what we're going to do. We have a whole list, and little by little we're going to iron them out. But our goal is to do something special for our 100th. Absolutely.
So yeah, the 100th anniversary is definitely going to be a big deal, and that's coming up 4 years, 3 years, did you say? Right around the corner, baby.
It will be 2026. Yep.
All
so
right.
Kind of leading up to that, getting a lot of fresh ideas, a lot of creativity. I'm anxious to hear and see it come to fruition.
I'm still trying to picture you in the 70s and 80s. Like, are you like a local celebrity? Because the name Knoebel, everywhere you go, it's just, oh yeah, Knoebel, right? I mean,
No,
yes.
no, same. I had one or two birthday parties that, with my friends that I had down here, but no, you went roller skating. You went, for those of you that had a pool, you went to their house and you swam.
I
Uh,
love it.
no, I played baseball. I was a Boy Scout, no different than anybody else. So,
Your dad, a big shot in the neighborhood. Everyone knows there's Knoebel. Your grandfather is Knoebel. There's the amusement park people. No.
I'm sure there was some of that. For me, no, he was just my dad. He was the guy that got up, went to work in the morning. We played football, played catch, and went hiking. Same, no, absolutely no different than anybody else. So yeah, he may have been, but not me.
How
No.
many siblings do you have? What's the structure of the family?
I have one older brother. My mom passed in '09, but
Oh.
mom and dad used to say they were going to have 6 kids. So when I came along, it was, hey, let's wait till he's potty trained. Well, let's wait till he goes to kindergarten. And say, let's wait. So no, I'm the baby. One older brother. I got a cousin Trevor who's here every day coming to work. I got a cousin, his sister Stacy, who left to be a mom for a little while. Now she's back full time with us. Got a cousin Lauren. So there's 5 of us in my generation, 3 in the previous generation. Then I have 2 daughters. So one graduates, like your daughter, one graduates college here, and the other one's a college freshman. So hopefully one day, it will continue. My ancestors will be proud.
I was going to say, because I don't have this feeling with my family, but is there pressure? Like, were you a rebellious 15, 16, 17-year-old saying, I want nothing to do with this. I'm going to become a cosmetologist.
There was a time where, my dad never fired me growing up. He just beat the crap out of me. That was it. I
It was done in the 70s and 80s. That's right.
My mom fired me a few times, and
now, what do you mean by that? Like, there was some static, and you're like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to go there today. I'm not working this weekend. Well, you're fired.
No, I would get mad at dad because the random day off that I had as a kid growing up, and I would want to sit and watch the Phillies play or the like maybe '86 Mets. I remember this. I'm watching Doc Gooden. I'm watching Darryl Strawberry. That whole team. My dad comes up and gets me, and he says, "Get in the truck. We have to go down and pull the garbage can liners for a company picnic. The garbage crew never showed up today.
Who wants to do that, right? No one wants to do that.
Dad, I want to watch a baseball game. Get in the truck." What did you do? You got in the truck. You went down. You did garbage. You did a round of garbage. Because the guests needed somewhere to throw their trash. So
is he still like that?
Oh yeah, he's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he. The world needs more Dick Knoebels. I mean, we now live unfortunately in a very sensitive.
Yes.
Your feelings hurt. Not him. You. He has no filter. He never has. And I'm going to say the world needs more like him.
Yeah, you get to that certain age where you're forgiven. You don't need a filter. And yeah, you're right.
He's never had one.
He's not.
No, never. No. And that's what everybody loves about him. You know exactly where you stand. But no, he would he beat the crap out of me. Mom. So she was in charge of our catering, our group sales. And much more, of course, in a family-run business, she staffed our ticket booths. She did our insurance. She did our first aid. So anyway, I'm out.
Is your dad 70-ish now, or is he still involved, deeply involved?
Yeah, he just turned 83. He comes to 83. Work every day.
Get out of here!
On his little scooter and points out, what's wrong. I'm still his punching bag.
Is that right? So, but he still is kind of in charge. Or if you say, Dad, we're doing this, you got to get with the times. We're getting rid of that stand over there. We're doing this. We're putting LED in. Or does he? No, it's not how we're doing it.
You can tell how hard his no is. If it's a little grumble under his breath, kind of no. Well, we go through with the project anyway. But the fist comes down and no, and the buck stops here. He lets everybody know who carries the bigger stick.
Is that right? So if Knoebels is still a dictatorship, correct?
He is. He's the guy. Absolutely.
I didn't.
When
All right.
he comes around the corner on his little ECV, you better pick up a shovel or something.
So if he did this podcast, we'd have to have beeps throughout the whole thing, right? Beep, beep, beep. Is that what it would be?
You may have to. Yeah. He knows when to be PC and when he can't be. But so let me. Mom, she probably tougher on me. Dad, yeah, it was physical. Mom, I'm one of our soda jerks, so I'm out at our catering, and I have my job's to get up in the morning and fill everything with ice and make sure the company picnics have their Pepsi, their Mountain Dew, everything was done. So we grabbed some of my other friends and we went up into the campground to have a wiffle ball game. So the walkie-talkie, everybody carries walkie-talkies here at work. It's just a little 1 watt walkie-talkie, and she apparently was trying to call me, and I didn't hear the call. Well, she found us. And I would have come down had I heard it. I promise. Never heard the call, so she fired me on the spot.
Oh man,
made a fool out of me. So I went up to the house. So that was a Saturday. So she wakes me up at Sunday morning at like 9 o'clock. She's like, "What are you doing in bed? You have work to do." I said, "Mom, you fired me. Don't talk back to me." What just happened? So put my staff shirt on and down to work I go.
How old were you at that time? This is your
I'd probably been about 12, 13, maybe something like that.
Indoctrined into the business.
Oh yeah. So I got fired a couple of times.
That's funny.
I don't know, they kept making me come back to work. So there was a time where I was going to quit and go work with an area farmer where all my friends worked, the wrestlers and the football team. I was going to go do that. And my dad's like, "Yeah, go ahead. Our ancestors were farmers once too. There's a reason we don't do that anymore."
You'll see the light. You'll
be back.
Yeah. So now I imagine, because it's still family entrenched,
mm-hmm.
I have a lot of friends who own their own business, and I always say, "Oh, you got it made. You got your own business, and you get to do what you want, call your own shots." And they shake their head and laugh at me like, no, you got it made because you leave work after 8 hours and you leave it all behind you. Say that they don't understand what it's like to have your own business. And I don't understand what it's like. They don't understand what it's like to work for someone and leave it. So you are the same way. Imagine you can never leave it. Is it stressful? Is it like, oh, it's the weekend, it's Memorial Weekend, it's 4th of July, and this is just always with you?
So it is. You're on call 24/7. Off season, I probably work 55 hours a week. During the season, somewhere between 80 and 90. So
get out.
My dad took my brother and I to another park one time, and he kind of paced back and forth like that Marine drill sergeant would. And he gave us the "all right, now look" speech. And he said, "Look around." He said, "This park is closed because nobody wanted to work nights. Nobody wanted to work weekends. Nobody wanted to work holidays." He said, "You cannot expect your staff to work all those odd hours while you just simply work, banker's hours or the 8 to 3 shift." And he's like, "When I'm dead and buried, the park better be still going on, and you better be working, and you better be married to it, and you better bring it, blood, sweat, and tears." And what a great speech. And we never look back. It's full throttle.
So you don't regret that. You don't regret this marriage to the business, right? It's in your blood.
It is. I love it. I'm on a couple of committees that then we just eat, breathe, and sleep amusement parks, and trying to help one. And everybody thinks you're in competition. We talked about that earlier, and we're in it together. Families are choosing to go to Hershey Park, 1 month, and a Dorney Park the next, and we just hope that we're part of their destination.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think anyone's committed to one over the other. It's like, oh, I'll have a little buffet of the parks, right?
Exactly. And one incident is a black eye for the entire industry. So we're constantly trying to. I was on the phone with one person from Dorney Park yesterday and one from Hershey Park. So we're all friends. We're in it together. We talk all the time. How can we support one another? Help when we share ride parts. So it truly just works. It really does.
So
is it stressful? Sure it is. You better believe it's stressful. You're constant worried. Who's, whether it's rainy weather, on what to do, whether it's is there going to be some kind of an incident? You're always thinking about the what ifs, but we have a heck of a team here at the park. Nobody I'd rather work with every day, and they help with all the decisions, and we are a well-oiled machine. I am so proud, and you're trying to get ready. It's the week of opening last week, and you
said you're under a lot of stress.
Oh yeah, but you're running on adrenaline when you see those guests coming. Sometimes, Joe, I have to walk away just because I'm getting teary-eyed.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
What a feeling to know these people could have done anything else. They could have gone anywhere,
but they're coming to the tally ho.
They they want to swim in the creek.
Yeah. Well, going with this stress and this family entrenchment, am I safe to assume, or is this my ignorance, that November, December, January, February, March, 4, 5, 6 months of the year, it's vacation time. You do nothing. You just count money.
So common misconception.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Everybody thinks, you pull the doors down and you move to Florida for the winter.
Yeah.
In May, or late April, you lift up those doors and the money's already in the drawer and the ice cream machines are ready to go. So we used to be Memorial Day through Labor Day. Okay. That's what we were for many, many years. Then we started opening up a little earlier in May, a little later in September. Now we're late April. And now we do a Halloween event all throughout.
Yeah, that's a big one.
All of fun nights. Very, very popular. People wanting to hold on to that last little bit of summer. The leaves are changing colors. Cool evening. Where our fog machines are going. Laser lights are peeking through the fog, and characters are jumping out and scaring you. So, but family friendly. Not scary. So now we've chosen to do when COVID hit, a lot of stressful family meetings. What if we can't open? What if this? We better start to think of. We have 150 full-time staff that work year round, and health insurance and 401k and eye and dental and we don't want to lay them off. We got to keep working. So what if? So then we started doing a Joy Through the Grove, a Christmas light display.
Oh man!
Our parking field, you drive right down the center of the park, right down the midway, up through our campground. So now it's pretty much go time. Some of the people use the Daytona 500 as the kickoff to park season internally. So that's when it's go time. So late March. Then we get open in April. Now it's through Halloween. Then November 1st starts. We tear down all the Halloween decorations. Now we're putting rides away. Now we're starting to go over rides. A lot of painting gets done in the fall. We take about 10 rides a year. We strip down to the bare metal, every nut, every bolt, looking for how to make this ride come to life again. We also have 25 or 30 people decorating for Joy Through the Grove. So then
maybe 1 month off.
So
January, give me February, maybe you get one.
Well, it's about January 20th, 21st when all the Christmas lights are down. So you get late January, you get February, and you get the 3 weeks in March.
Oh, there you go.
And now it's go time. So we're still here. I'm still working, like I said, 40 to 55 hours a week. Do I take long weekends in off season, which is 2 months long? You try to go do some things. So,
oh, that's excellent. See, what an education for us. I'm so curious about these things. Thus, the podcast.
Mr. Curiosity.
I didn't realize that. My other curiosity here, before we start to wrap things up, is I don't know how to delicately say this, but back in the 70s, when I was just a kid going to Rocky Glen and other places, maybe things are totally different now. How does the regulation work? I remember waiting in line on that roller coaster, right? And then I'm waiting in line. I see this rickety, elaborate ride that's going to take me on a thrilling adventure. I see gears and pulleys and wood fabricated together. And there at the helm of this whole complicated clockwork of ride exuberance is some guy with greasy hair. He's got a shirt on that says Born to Raise Hell. He's got tattoos. And all of a sudden, my life is in that man's hand. And I remember thinking, whoa, I can't believe this. Now I'm even more frightened than I was before the fear of going on this ride struck me over. So do you see my point here? And that's a little bit of an exaggeration. How is it all regulated? Who comes in and says, this guy can control that ride? He looks like he can't even balance his checking account. How is he in charge of all these lives? And who regulates this? Who says this is in good shape and that's not in good shape? How does all that work?
That's a great question, because at one time there was no regulatory commission.
In the 70s, there you go.
My dad, again, not being real PC, he said, people, now you need a ride fence around the ride. And there's criteria for a ride, perimeter fence for a ride. So when he says people were, he talks in that deep Marine voice.
Yeah, I like how you do it.
There was no ride fence. You knew better than to walk into a ride that was moving. You didn't do it. So, somebody must have, because now there's a perimeter fence. There was no daily inspection of the rides. You greased them when you had. It was like
yeah, right.
You rotate the tires when you had to. It was that simple. My dad was part of a team here with other Pennsylvania parks who put together a safety standard, and so now we actually do a daily inspection. So every morning that you and your family come to ride the rides, they have been looked over by a qualified technician. So every month we do a state ride inspection that's set forth, by our rides fall under, rides and measurements, which then falls under the Department of Agriculture. Then we have a scenic skyway. So like up in your neck of the woods, a lot of ski lifts. While in Pennsylvania, they're considered an elevator. So they fall under Department of Labor and Industry.
Oh, who knew that, man? I didn't know that.
Constantly. So our insurance company comes in twice a year. The state comes in. We do it ourselves. Then we have state inspectors that go over everything from seatbelts to sharp edges to maybe they find there's a joke that you see a meme once in a while that you want to drive people crazy. You throw some, before you go to an amusement park, you put a bunch of nuts and bolts in your pocket. And when you're standing in line, you throw it under the ride. Hey, did you see that? Then you got to shut the ride down and you got to see where all these nuts and bolts came from. And there's, one little jerk running around the park with, he's the culprit. He's the bad guy. So, it is regulated. Yeah, there are courses that you have to take. Just like you inspect your car, you take it to a qualified technician who had to pass a test. Same thing.
That's excellent. That gives me a peace of mind but it wasn't like that in the 70s when I was a kid, right?
It was not. You're right. Correct. Yeah.
I had reason to be concerned then. See, I was ahead of my time.
There's a real funny story that my dad tells that we had. So we have a whip ride in the park. So its predecessor was outdoors, and there were two guys dressed in Navy attire, and the whipper car came unfastened, and it threw them through the fence, down a foot onto the asphalt, and then the whipper car went another like 30 or 40 yards. And the Knoebel family and all the employees went running. Oh my gosh! What and apparently the two Navy guys looked up and said, "That was great. Can we do that again?" So I wonder if that's what started. Some of these people like, maybe we ought to have a regulatory commission. So
the pre-lawsuit days. I love it.
Exactly. Yes, it was.
Come on, throw me a number. What's your insurance premium per month, per year, whatever?
Yeah, that and the electric bill. I'll trade you. Even up.
Oh, it's got to be outrageous. All right, well, let's wrap this up. I'm thinking this is, we covered everything from beginning to middle to guts to end, and you were outstanding. And I learned a lot about Knoebels, even though, like I said, I'm not an amusement park guy. You guys have brought my family such pleasure over the years. I have this picture I showed going down the log flume. I put it on TV the other day. And here's the typical dad thing. I remember I was on the log flume. My wife was waiting for us at the end of the line. And I'm coming down. I got my 3 kids with me. And then you guys have the automatic picture taker thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So she's waiting at the counter. I pull out and she goes, "Hey, let's get this picture. Look at it there. You know, this is 15 years ago or something. I don't know." And you know how outrageous it was. It's like $20, $29.99. I don't know what it was. And I'm going, that's it's a typical dad response, isn't it? No, I don't need that picture. We don't need that. We had a good time. And I remember she made me get that picture. And that's one of my most cherished moments now. Me going down the log flume with the Knoebels official picture of me in your log flume.
We still have that picture.
That's the one of the happiest days of my life. So folks,
that's our wall of fame.
If I have any advice to anyone out there, pay the price, do it right. You'll never miss that $20. You get the picture of the log flume. You're going down. Everybody's happy. Now look at me. I'm all gray. I had a mole removed from my nose. My kids are grown and in college. I'm home with a dog half the time. And that was the happiest moment of my life right there, captured by you and your people.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that story. Please come back. You just told me your daughter's graduating from Temple. My gift to her is a free wristband.
All right.
Let's see when I go for a ride on the flume. We'll get our picture taken together.
I want her to get a job, not a free day at Knoebels. Come on.
Hey, go to our website. We're hiring.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, I was going to mention. So if you give out your website, give out your information, anything you want to tell the public now. Here we go.
Sure. I mean, we're Knoebels is on Facebook and we're on Snapchat, TikTok. We have on Instagram, but Knoebels.com. Please come and visit us. From my family to yours, I promise you will have a wonderful time.
I can back that up. And you are looking for employees then, huh?
We are. It's no different than any other industry in the nation. And
let's say it together. No one wants to work anymore. I know. I hear that from every business owner. It's sad, isn't it?
Right. So we're doing the best we can. We're excited. We're gonna have more rides this year. We opened last weekend. We hit 50. So last year we hovered around 40 rides. This year we got 50. We're hoping the Flying Turn's going to get open here real soon. That's a fan favorite. So I'm really optimistic about the summer. I can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Everyone loves Knoebels. Thank you, Brian, for your time. I got to mention this before I go. I'm going to sing a song for you. My favorite tune from maybe 10, 15 years ago. You tell me. Here we go. Ka-fun, Knoebels, ka-food, Knoebels, ka-rides, Knoebels. What happened to that commercial? I used to love that.
That was a creative one. Everybody, especially Schuylkill County, calls us Knoebels. They don't pronounce the K like.
Oh, they don't. Okay, right.
So we did the K just to emphasize we do. It's Knoebels.
How old is that commercial? Do you remember that thing? That was excellent.
Boy, I'm gonna say, yeah, that's mid to late 80s.
Come on, let's reboot it. Ka-fun, Knoebels. Ka-food, Knoebels, ka-ride, Knoebels.
That's there's our 100th. We bring that. I love that. Yeah. Little shout out to Joe Snedeker, Mr. Curiosity.
Knoebels, excellent. Get out there, have a good time, have a good summer, Brian. We appreciate all the information. Very rewarding, very informative. I love it.
All right, thanks for including me. I appreciate what you do for the area. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
See you.
Curiosity. What are you so curious about? Everything, Mr. Curiosity.